Hello, everyone. I am back with my second sermon in my series on building unity through diversity, equity, and inclusion. I am Reverend Jennifer Naya Wilbur. I am an ordained minister and priestess. My personal practice is rooted in Sumerian polytheism, and I am speaking to you today from the perspective of divine pluralism, in which we recognize that there are numerous expressions and interpretations of the divine, and that by coming together and honoring our diverse ideas and experiences of the divine, we can collectively gain a fuller understanding and create deeper meaning within our lives. Last week, I discussed the subject of building unity through diversity, equity, and inclusion. But we cannot talk about equity and the divine without also discussing environmental justice. And we cannot discuss environmental justice without first acknowledging the indigenous communities who were the original stewards of the land on which we now stand. I am speaking to you today from sacred land that rightfully belongs to the Erie people. And I know that a simple acknowledgement of the atrocities committed by my ancestors is not nearly enough. It won't repair the injustices suffered by countless generations of human beings at the hands of other human beings, or the injustice to the land itself. We are all children of the same earth. We all deserve to have clean drinking water. We all deserve to have enough safe and healthy food. We all deserve access to all of the life-giving resources offered by our mother, the earth. But we also have a responsibility to care for her so that she can continue giving us everything we need to survive. Our relationship to the earth, to our environment, to each other needs to be reciprocal. Everything in nature exists in a cycle, and we are part of nature, whether we realize it or not. No matter your religion, culture, or background, we as humans are called to be stewards of the earth. Nature doesn't only sustain us, it is us. No matter your specific belief system, I am sure you can feel something of the divine when you are outside in nature. Whether you believe that the gods are present in all natural phenomena, or that all of nature is an expression of the divine, or that God created all of nature for humans to benefit from and care for. Whatever your specific beliefs, you cannot deny that nature is, well, by its nature, holy above all else. The divine, in whatever way you personally believe in or experience, provide us with all we need to survive and thrive through the natural world. But we need to be mindful in how we use these sacred resources. They are not limitless. And as a civilized nation, we must ensure that these resources are distributed equitably. In the Christian Bible, in the book of Leviticus, God calls upon us to share the bounty of the land with those who are most in need. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap your fields right up to its edge, neither shall you gather the gleanings after your harvest. And you shall not strip your vineyard bare, neither shall you gather the fallen grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and for the sojourner. I am the Lord your God. Leviticus 19, 9 through 10. Whether you see humans as but one part of the sacred web of nature, or the natural world as a gift bestowed upon us by the divine, we need to treat it with reverence, respect, and love. Like any gift, we must show our gratitude and reciprocate by taking care of the land we live upon and rely on. When we treat the planet as if natural resources are infinite, when we take and give nothing back, The systems within nature become unbalanced, and they can't keep up with the demand we are putting on it. And when this happens, it is almost always the most vulnerable and disadvantaged amongst us who end up the most harmed. Environmental justice addresses the injustices that occur when marginalized communities are harmed by hazardous waste, resource extraction, or any other land use in which the community being harmed is receiving no benefit. The EPA defines environmental justice as the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of race, color, national origin, or income, with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies. Fair treatment means that no group of people, including racial, ethnic, or socioeconomic groups, should bear a disproportionate share of the negative environmental consequences resulting from industrial, municipal, and commercial operations, or the execution of federal, state, local, and tribal programs and policies. As part of this interconnected web of life and spirit, which we call nature, environmental justice is a deeply spiritual calling. It is a responsibility rooted in the reverence for all beings, whether human, animal, plant, or element. Each of these, in its own way, contributes to the sacred web of life. The work of diversity, equity, and inclusion in environmental justice invites us to recognize and honor this intricate web, ensuring that all communities, especially those marginalized or silenced, have access to the resources and spaces necessary for survival, dignity, and well-being. In the realm of the earth, equity calls us to recognize that the impact of environmental degradation is not felt equally. Vulnerable and marginalized communities, both human and non-human, tend to bear the brunt of the effects of environmental harm. Indigenous peoples, lower income communities, and communities of color frequently live in the areas that are most affected by pollution, climate change, and the destruction of ecosystems. Similarly, entire species and habitats, particularly those less visible or valued by capitalist societies, are often disproportionately impacted by deforestation, industrialization, and resource extraction. Environmental justice demands that we address these imbalances, ensuring that all beings, human and non-human, are treated fairly. This means advocating for policies that protect vulnerable communities from environmental harm and ensuring that the benefits of a healthy environment are shared equitably. When we fight for the equitable treatment of both people and nature, we align ourselves with the divine forces of justice and balance, working to restore harmony in the world. Now, we don't need to choose between technological progress and respecting nature. The gods are our divine link between civilization and the natural world. They gave us the ability to change the world around us and to create the building blocks for civilization. Civilization and nature can coexist, but we need to be mindful and respectful in taking only what we need and in giving back to nature in return. We need to take responsibility as stewards of these sacred lands. In polytheistic traditions, the gods often welcome all beings into their fold. Gods of the harvest care for the land. Gods of the sea watch over the fish and creatures of the deep. Deities of the wild protect the forests and animals. The gods do not exclude any part of creation from their care and protection. The earth itself is a sacred space where every being, from the tiniest insect to the greatest mountain, has its place in the circle of life. The gods themselves represent the diversity of the natural world. Each deity has their own domain, their own divine responsibilities. We see this reflected also in the diversity of species present in the natural world, and in the diversity of human cultures and ideas that make up humanity. This diversity allows the planet to thrive and to flourish. Just as planting a monoculture of one specific crop will eventually deplete the soil of nutrients and be much more at risk of disease and infestation than a more diverse planting, diversity in human culture gives mankind strength and resilience. Without diversity, we would be much weaker as a species. Inclusion in the context of environmental justice means recognizing that every being, no matter how small, no matter how seemingly insignificant, is part of the sacred web of life. It is our responsibility to ensure that all beings, humans, all humans, animals, plants, the land and rivers and air, all ecosystems, are included in our efforts to protect the planet. This includes respecting the rights of nature, advocating for policies that safeguard endangered species and all species, acknowledging the inherent worth of nature, and working to restore ecosystems that have been harmed by human activity. Just as we must include marginalized human communities in discussions of equity, we must also ensure that non-human communities have a voice in the conversation about environmental justice. To practice inclusion is to acknowledge that we are all included within the web of life, and the health of the earth is not separate from the health of humanity. We cannot achieve true justice without caring for the land, air, and waters that sustain us. When we include nature in our vision of justice, we align ourselves with the divine forces that work in unity to protect all aspects of creation. The earth is a sacred place. It is an expression of the divine that requires our respect, care, and stewardship. Just as the gods work in harmony to ensure balance and order in the cosmos, so too must we work in harmony to restore the balance to our environment. We must ensure that all beings, human and non-human alike, are treated with the respect and care that they deserve. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are not just human ideals. They are divine principles that must guide our relationship with the world around us. Environmental justice is about more than just protecting nature. It is about honoring the interconnectedness of all life and ensuring that every being has access to the resources they need to thrive. It is about recognizing the sacredness of Earth, the sacredness of all beings, and our sacred responsibility to care for this planet as stewards. Let us then commit ourselves to a path of environmental justice, one that honors the diversity of life, ensures equity for all beings, and includes every being in the sacred circle. May we work together to restore the balance of the earth, living in harmony with nature and the divine forces that sustain us. We must also look to indigenous perspectives for guidance in how we live on and interact with the land. Nature is not something to be conquered, owned, and exploited. The indigenous nations who have inhabited this land for countless generations understand this. Before European colonizers came and decimated their cultures and stole their lands, Indigenous peoples managed this land by paying attention to the rhythms of nature and working alongside the natural environment as but one part of the interconnected web of life. They know how to work with the land and the natural world in harmony rather than against it, taking only what they need and caring for the lands that care for them. If we are to truly live in harmony with the land, we must defer to the traditional knowledge of the original stewards of this land. Further, if we truly believe in environmental justice, we must allow Indigenous voices to take the lead in any decision-making processes regarding how the land is used. As we reflect on the divine tapestry of creation, where deities, spirits, and all living beings come together in sacred unity, let us remember that our calling as humans is to live in harmony with nature and the world around us. Just as the divine is rich in diversity, so too is the world we inhabit a vibrant, diverse web of life, each thread essential to the whole. From the mountains to the seas, from the plants to the animals, from the most marginalized human communities to the most endangered species, every aspect of this planet is sacred. The principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion are not just ideals we strive for in our human communities. They are divine mandates that extend to our relationship with nature and all of its creatures. The gods teach us that all beings, whether human or non-human, hold sacred value in the grand web of existence. Our efforts to protect the environment, to advocate for the marginalized, and to include every life form in the conversation of justice are acts of honoring the divine. When we fight for environmental justice, we are living out the sacred balance that the gods themselves uphold. Environmental justice requires us to embrace the divine diversity in the world, ensuring that the voices and needs of all beings are heard and respected. It calls us to create a world where the most vulnerable are treated with fairness, and where no being is excluded from the sacred circle of care. We are called to recognize that the earth is not merely a resource to be exploited, but a living, breathing entity deserving of reverence and protection. When we work for the well-being of the planet, we align ourselves with the divine forces that seek balance, harmony, and flourishing for all life. Let us commit then to being the stewards of this planet, to protect and nurture the sacred diversity of the earth and all who inhabit it. Let us work together to create a more just, inclusive, and equitable world for all beings. In doing so, we honor the divine, not only in ourselves and each other, but in the very soil beneath our feet, in the life-giving waters we drink, and in the air we breathe. May our actions reflect the deep, sacred unity of life, and may we walk forward as sacred stewards of this planet, as the living, divine creation it is. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.